Welcome to Good Game. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo.
Coming up on tonight's show, and just in time for Halloween, the Master Chief is back. We hunt the truth in Halo 5 Guardians.
System lock.
Plus, we find out what happens when Transformers meets Bayonetta in Transformers Devastation.
I've been itching for a fight. Come on! Surrender, Decepticons. This is your only warning.
And Geralt of Rivia is back for more adventure and romance in the first major Witcher 3 expansion, Hearts of Stone.
Show us what you got.
Hot damn, boy. You needn't ask me twice.
Oh, it's a good lineup this week, Hex. But first, here's something for you to think about. Can you name this game?
I'm talking to the people. I'm breaking it down. Ah, God! I'm gonna pimp smack when I get. I'm breaking. Oh! Autobots, transform and roll out. All hail Megatron! You face a triple change now!
Transformers Devastation is brought to us by Platinum Games, makers of the Bayonetta series, known for their over-the-top fights and minge montages.
Rest assured, you won't be seeing any crotch montages from Optimus Prime, but you will get to punch some giant robots in the crotch in what is a pretty crazy take on Transformers. Hex, you know I'm a mega G1 Transformers fan, and this game kind of came out of nowhere, so I went in with tempered expectations. But it's actually a great 3D brawler.
Yeah, it really is. Insecticons are taking over Earth. They're trying to terraform it to become a new Cybertron, homeworld of the Transformers. Naturally, this is bad news for the human race.
How bad? Planetary extinction.
Yes, especially when Megatron gets wind of it. He's not a fan of humans and sees this as an opportunity to wipe them all out and make Earth their own, or his own.
In less than one Earth day, there will be no more Earth days.
The game then becomes a massive chase of sorts, bouncing around locations as the Autobots try to stop Megatron. And initially it does kind of feel like a bit of a movie tie-in game. The locations are a little bland and boxy, and the combat can be repetitive.
Side swipe. No need to hold back.
But then the game forces you to go deeper.
Yes, as the fights get more epic and complicated, the mechanics of the game slowly start to reveal themselves and become very important to master. This is a fighter first, with a few cutscenes and transition bits in between the battles.
We will control the plasma energy.
But there are also some really inspired lines of dialogue.
Annihilation of an inhabited planet is not what our ancestors wanted.
How little you really know.
There's a good theme here. This is a story about a race who've been cut off from their dying homeland, trying to make peace with the natives and coexist. These kinds of ideas were threaded through the original cartoon, and they allow for a lot of drama.
This is our home now, Megatron. We should respect it.
Well, let's talk about the combat. It's hard to learn and even harder to master. You've got light and heavy attacks, combos can chain in a vehicle move, which are important to getting through fights. Each of the 5 playable Autobots have their own special move as well, such as shields or sideswipes dash. There's also a spectacular super move, which you can activate once you've built up enough power through attacking. And in the big fights, you need to pretty much nail all of these fighting systems, while also constantly dodging and evading attacks.
Yeah, this really is a game about countering and evading damage, and those bosses just do so much, a third of your health in one hit sometimes, while your biggest moves do a sliver of damage. Quite disheartening. And that's on normal difficulty.
On top of all that, there are some very expensive moves that you can purchase. And if you want to beat this on normal or higher, then you'll need to buy and master them too.
Don't let them get there first.
I like their approach to ranged weapons with this, because ammo is very limited, so you mostly use them to pick off flying enemies and get them to the ground. And this makes it a melee-focused game, which is very different to the War for and Fall of Cybertron games, which are the only other Transformers games out there worth talking about.
I like this, Bajo. It felt good to punch robots instead of just shooting them. At looks so great too.
Oh, doesn't it? I love the choices they made with the art. At times it looks almost identical to the 2D cartoon, but then everything has this slight 3D element to it.
You beat Motor Master. Now, see if you can beat me!
I love how when you beat a boss, you get their weapons. And there's heaps of gear to collect and upgrade too, which is essential to making it through the game.
I found all the weapons in particular really reminded me of being a kid in the backyard and playing with these little toys and moving all the guns around. It's nice to see Grimlock in the game too, because he's one of my all-time favourite Transformers, but he's not as much fun as the other Autobots in this because he's not as mobile. But Hex, this was all about Bumblebee for me. That dash between the legs of Decepticons, so good.
The way the camera moves in these chaotic fights is quite sophisticated too. And that's quite an achievement because usually 3D fighters are pretty frustrating in general, but they've nailed the right amount of assists and camera tracking so you don't feel like you need to be readjusting all the time. My only criticism is that you can sometimes be a little too close. You know, it'd be nice to see more of the action.
Yeah, and a lot of the level design is repeated in small arenas, so you do feel a bit boxed in.
Yeah, the city zones in particular are like that. So, what did you think of this overall, Bajo?
The difficulty imbalance is this game's biggest problem. It's just too easy on easy and too hard on normal. But even so, I think if you're a G1 Transformers fan, you kind of have to play this for the spectacle alone. And the story even has a bit of heart, so I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
Well, I think they could have done a better job of just teaching players how all the game's systems and upgrades work. But if you're into these kinds of chaotic fighters, there is a lot to get stuck into here. Plus, you know, I'd put it in the top 3 Transformers games ever made. I'm giving it 3 out of 5 stars.
Me don't like this place. Something smells funny.
I agree, old friend. I can sense it. A darkness.
Here's what's making headlines. Mac users who pre-ordered Valve's Steam Link or Steam controller have been told that neither piece of hardware will actually work with their computer. Valve sent out emails to alert customers that both pieces of hardware will not work at launch, but they are working to resolve the issues. Customers are able to get a refund if they choose, and as an apology, Valve will gift them every game Valve has ever made, as well as any future games they ever make, which is about as close to owning Half-Life 3 as anyone will ever get.
What was in that phone book of a contract I signed? Am I in danger? Let me answer those questions with a question. Who wants to make $60? Cash.
More confusion is emerging from Konami after they denied a report from The New Yorker claiming Hideo Kojima had left the company. In an interview with an anonymous source, The New Yorker reported that Kojima had finally left Konami, enjoying a farewell with workmates on the 9th of October. However, Konami has said Kojima is still listed as an employee and is simply taking extended leave, having finished Metal Gear Solid 5.
Well, I'm sure you'll see the bigger picture eventually.
And in some sad news, popular gaming YouTuber John Bain, aka Total Biscuit, has revealed he's been diagnosed with inoperable liver cancer. Bain had been battling bowel cancer since last year, which was successfully treated. However, the cancer has since progressed to his liver. Bain revealed the average life expectancy after diagnosis is 2 to 3 years, but he vows to fight it as long as possible. Our best wishes go out to Total Biscuit and his friends and family. And that's all the news for this week.
If you managed to plough your way through the hours upon hours of gameplay in The Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt and still found yourself hungering for more Geralt, well, fear not. As promised, CD Projekt Red have delivered their first DLC expansion for the game, Hearts of Stone.
Johnny, watch out. Move.
Please, don't do this to me.
Johnny?
Geralt?
Hearts of Stone sees Geralt taking on a contract to rid a sewer of a monster, as he's known to do. The result is a rather annoying but challenging fight with an enormous frog.
Unfortunately, as is often the case with monsters in Geralt's world, the frog monster he killed was actually a cursed prince. And Geralt finds himself in hot water with those looking for vengeance.
Quiet, dog. You killed our prince, and you'll pay for that.
When this shady character shows up and offers to help him out of a bind, Geralt finds himself with a debt to pay. He must complete a series of impossible tasks for the very man who sent him after the monster in the first place. Olgierd von Everick, a bandit captain enchanted with immortality.
Now, where were we?
I loved this story, but more than that, I love the clear direction this DLC had from the start and how it aims to set itself apart from the main game. Hearts of Stone opens with the visual image of a beautiful stone statue that is toppled and broken, and so too Geralt's stony exterior is broken down through the narrative of this adventure.
Say I need help. Where'll I find you?
I shall find you. Good luck, Geralt.
Yeah, the first task involves showing Olgierd's brother the time of his life. The catch, Olgierd's brother is dead, so Geralt allows his ghost to possess his body, resulting in a Geralt that is very much not himself.
In my experience, witches and dancing don't exactly mix.
Today they mix like fire and oil, my love.
It was wonderful watching Geralt act so out of character, wasn't it? I was a little unsure of just how much story and romance and wedding stuff we were doing at first, though.
Yeah, I guess the romance is a big part of this game for a lot of people, so they wanted to make sure there was still a strong element of that in the DLC as well. So you do have the opportunity to get your woo on, if you choose.
Rogue.
Yeah, I guess I'm just so committed to my pursuit of Triss that I don't like being funneled into romantic encounters with other ladies. I'm a one-woman man. After all the dancing and frivolity, however, you're next tasked with planning a heist, which was pretty cool. I'm glad it got a bit more into the action.
Yeah, and dialogue choice plays as strong a role as ever. The choices you make will determine who comprises your team of break-in artists.
Yet not to mention throughout this operation, when making deals with shady characters, choosing the lesser of two evils is never easy. Oh, also a quick tip if you care about in-game fashion as much as I do, in the room where you pick up the heist quest, there is an unassuming crate that contains a complete outfit of all black that will match the stats of whatever gear you're currently wearing. A perfect ensemble for cat burglaring.
Well, let's talk about the gameplay. A whole new area of the map has been filled in with new quests, towns to explore, and fields of sunflowers to ride through. You don't need to have finished this game in order to play this expansion, but you'll need to be a decent level because as enemies aren't scaled in The Witcher 3, your foes won't go easy on you. Your other option is to play the DLC standalone as a prefab level 32 Geralt.
Tell me what
Yeah, level 30 at least is recommended, and I went charging into my first fight feeling pretty confident after, destroying the hunt that was threatening the land. But lo and behold, regular guards and monsters have all gotten tougher since then, Bajo.
Yes, most human enemies now carry shields, slowing the fights down, whereas monsters in the land will group and overwhelm you, taking quick, steady chunks out of your health.
Lots of spiders in this expansion too, a new enemy type called arachnomorphs, which I have to say are infuriating the way they constantly leap out of your way, avoiding your strikes. But the point is the combat is challenging and enemies have you working hard and fighting differently, which is great.
Any previously unfinished quests from the main game will likely be too low level to warrant attempting, so there are new side quests and missions on offer in Hearts of Stone 2, as well as one quest chain which sees you procuring the necessary materials needed to allow a new craftsman to enchant gear for you with rune words.
Wouldn't mind a glance at what you got.
I have to say, the crafting and rune system in The Witcher 3 was more than detailed enough for me. I really didn't need this extra enchanting thing on top of it, but props to CDP for giving you yet another way to improve your gear. Only certain items can be enchanted with rune words, but once applied, they can provide resistance to things like bleeding or magical attacks.
You'll want to have a lot of money banked to take on this new quest chain though, as the cost of gaining these benefits is not cheap.
A great sum I require.
I found that a little irritating. Fair enough you have to work for this skill, but let it be in the form of quests, not just handing over huge chunks of coin.
Yeah, that frustrated me too. But I think it's just to encourage you to go out and take on some of the new Witcher contracts on offer and see the world and explore new areas, rather than just ploughing through the central story of this expansion.
Yeah, and this really is quite a generous offering of all new action, story,
Died in 1250.
adventure, and romance.
So, it's a date.
Yeah, it really seems like this DLC was planned in conjunction with the main game and doesn't feel in any way like an afterthought. Rather, it's a solid experience in its own right.
Giddy up.
Real thought has been put into this storyline, and giving fans a way to experience its central protagonist in a different light.
For this, I thank you and say, you are well loved.
Yeah, it offers up a bit of everything really, and I think the story alone is enough reason to tackle this DLC. But the new enemies, new ways to customize your gear with those rune words, new areas of this ever-expanding world, it's great stuff. And if you do find the wedding section to be a little slow, know that it only gets better from there.
Calm yourself, Dumpling. Master Witcher's here now. Perhaps he can aid us.
I mean, obviously, I had a great time with this.
Buy us a bit of time, Geralt.
But I especially loved that none of the choices I made in this expansion landed me with the outcome I was hoping for.
Not about to hide behind these folk. I'm letting them go.
Are you mad? Any idea what'll happen?
It all got very tense. As you know, this game means a lot to me, so getting to play more of it is just wonderful. And there's another expansion in the works after this one, so the good times will hopefully just keep coming. I'm giving it 4.5 stars.
I'm giving it 4 stars.
Do you want me to teach you the moves?
I know the moves.
Ah, the merriment. Good show indeed. Let's continue the ball.
My first gaming love was a game by Infocom called The Witness, and it was a text-based game that took me all summer to play and to get to the end of. And it was just fascinating to me. I love that game. I play it again every couple of years, and it really brings me back to what I love about games when I was a little kid and just escaping to this fantasy world. It's kind of started my love for kind of stories and games. It made me feel like I felt when I was reading a good book or watching a good movie, but it made me feel like I was a participant in that. And this is back in the early days of consoles, and I love playing those kind of games too, like platformer games and stuff like that. But this game made me feel very different. It really got its hooks into me when I wasn't at the computer playing the game. I was spending a lot of time thinking about what was going on in the game. It just really sparked my imagination. I could visualize every little aspect of what they were doing and who the characters were, and think of things that I wanted to say. Other that and being a text game, it felt infinite. Like, I knew in the back of my mind I could command the game to do things that it didn't know how to do, but it let me do it. So I could type in anything I wanted, and that felt really empowering. It really made it feel like a giant, infinite world where I could do anything I wanted.
Halo 5 has arrived. Hex, let's suit up and save the galaxy one more time.
They're gonna hate us. You know that, right?
Nobody lets the chief do anything. He does what he wants.
117, stand down.
I mean, how are we even supposed to bring them in? Ask politely?
This is your one chance to come home peacefully.
I have a job to do.
I am the Warden Eternal. You came scampering.
Hex, those Spartans sure know how to make an entrance.
Yeah, it's quite an introduction, but nevertheless, we're going to be very careful to avoid any spoilers.
5 colonies have experienced identical events.
After a bunch of colonies get destroyed by a mysterious Forerunner force, Master Chief and his team of Spartans have to go AWOL to try and track down the cause of it all.
Negative 117. You're to return to Infinity immediately.
Negative Infinity. I don't like it.
Meanwhile, another group of Spartans called Fire Team Osiris try to track down the chief and bring him in.
Sir, you are absent without leave. This is your one chance to come home peacefully. Blue team, stand down!
And in this team is Nathan Fillion, aka Buck. It's nice to see some next-gen Nathan Fillion, Hex.
I figure if God can hear how scared I am, so can everyone else. Buck, you buying the first drink when we're done?
We saw him just the other week in Destiny, though.
Yeah, as a robot. Here he's so detailed, I feel like I can reach out and touch his face.
He's a bit of a rubbish Spartan, though, isn't he? Always bringing up the rear and failing to make jumps.
Oh, hell.
But I think for what he lacks in speed, he more than makes up for with witty quips and dreamy good looks. Come on.
I love being an ODST. Just point and shoot. None of this gray area BS.
Well, anyway, the campaign plays out similarly to Halo 2, where you jumped between the Chief and the Arbiter. Except now you'll be spending your time jumping between Master Chief's blue team and Locke's Team Osiris.
We get through this, I'll buy the whole damn bar.
But you don't actually jump between them that much, do you? Because out of the game's 15 missions, you only play a whopping 3 as the Chief. 3, that's right. I can already hear the screams of pained Halo fans out there, Hex.
Yeah, this is going to be the most divisive Halo yet, I think, and not just because of a Chief deficiency. There are a few things here that I think will rub fans the wrong way.
I'm down.
Yeah, they've actually messed with the formula for the first time, and when you mess with a much-loved formula, you're probably going to upset some people.
Yes, but times move on, and sometimes good formulas are much better after a good messing with. But the question is it a good mess or a messy mess?
Well, my first impressions had me a bit worried. Let's break it down. One of the big changes is you can now aim down the sights of any gun, which I actually quite like as a feature in general, except that by default, they've mapped it to the left trigger. Hex, since the dawn of Halo, that left trigger has been reserved for the almighty grenade.
Heresy. It feels a bit off, doesn't it? And it's hard not to take it as some blatant appeal to the COD crowd.
But of course, you can just switch it back in the options menu.
Yeah, but it's the principle of the thing.
Yeah, the principle.
It's the principle.
Yeah. That core Halo experience is still here in true form. With that sweet combat and vehicular mayhem, all set to the backdrop of gorgeous sci-fi vistas and epic music. It's a winning combo.
Yeah, plus it's great to be playing through beautiful alien environments that are so bright and colourful.
Yeah, it's so pretty, isn't it? And I actually like a lot of the other changes. Everything feels a lot faster. You now have unlimited sprint, and you can mantle up things, which makes jumping around much smoother. And they've built considerably more verticality into the levels, which encourages a lot of clambering.
There's also a thruster pack, which is really satisfying to use when quickly dodging out of the way of danger or for getting up into people's face with the shoddy.
Thruster packs are so in right now, Hex, and they also feel really intuitive in the midst of battle, dodging about. And beyond simply letting you dodge around, they also bring a trio of new abilities into play. They'll help you smash through certain walls, which can unlock new paths through levels or hidden weapon stashes. And if you aim down sights mid-air, they'll let you hover long enough to get a couple of shots off. But best of all, they give you the ground pound.
Yes, it is super satisfying to burst off a cliff, charge it up, and just rain Spartan down on the fools below.
Definitely. I was always trying to find new areas I could climb up to just so I could use it. Especially on those jackals. Those shields aren't so useful now, are they? Huh? Stupid jackals.
Well, that's all the good stuff, but I think a lot of the controversial changes will start to pop up when we talk about the co-op. First of all, there's no split-screen co-op, which has always been a staple of the Halo games, so understandably a lot of fans are upset about that.
Yeah, and they have said that it was impossible to put split-screen co-op into this game because it all runs at 60 frames per second, which is what the engine relies on. Firstly, it's fantastic that this is the first Halo game, not counting the Master Chief Collection, to run at 60 frames per second. Like, it is beautiful to look at. It's buttery smooth. And personally, I don't really play these kinds of games in split screen at home with friends inside my house, so I'm totally happy with that compromise. But on behalf of those who have friends and want them inside their house to play games with, I am bothered on behalf of them.
Yes, and cooperative play is very much a big focus of this game, so you will just have to play online with friends or, you know, with the AI.
Thanks, Spartan.
Even when you're playing solo, you'll always have your team of Spartans fighting alongside you, creating a quasi-co-op experience.
And a lot of the game is designed around co-op tactics. For example, some enemies have weak spots on their back that you have to hit. It can be a bit of a pain when you're playing solo though, since your AI buddies just don't seem to ever draw much aggro or actually shoot the weak spots when they have the chance.
Push up.
You can order your squad to a specific location or to direct fire on an enemy, which can be helpful.
Team, get on that hostage. Sure.
But even when you do, they're still terrible at going for those weak spots. I will say generally they are quite good AI companions though. It's just those weak spots are a weak spot for them.
Play team, I need support.
Another big change is that now rather than dying straight away when you lose all your health, you just fall over and have to order your Spartans to come revive you before you bleed out.
I'm up.
And this really changed the stakes of a battle for me, Hex. You just rely on this safety net. It's so easy, even on the second highest difficulty.
just seems odd to me that you actually have to order your Spartans to come and revive you. I mean, you can just take it for granted that I want to be revived, guys. You don't have to wait for me to ask.
I need support.
But Hex, I get why they've made this a really co-op focused game, but I think that co-op design actually weakens it for the solo lone wolf Halo player. It's just not as much fun playing with AI buddies.
It is still a very strong campaign though, I think.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of fun, but if I'm being picky, it doesn't really have that big memorable moment that the series is known for. Like in Reach, when we got to fly spaceships for the first time. Or how Halo 4 let us pilot a Pelican. Fun new stuff.
Well, there were those missions where you can't shoot and you just walk around and talk to people.
It's back. Right as I left, that ship flew past in the other direction real low.
You saw a ship? Any markings?
Pound glass, UNSC. It's not my problem if your buddies didn't tell you where they parked. You ought to synchronize your drop zones better next time.
I mean, we haven't seen that in a Halo game before.
And for good reason. I get that they're trying to make this universe feel a little more lived in, but those missions hardly got the blood pumping.
Understand.
Let's talk about the story. What did you think overall, Hex? No spoilers.
Well, overall, I think it can be a little overwhelming. I mean, there's just so much going on in this universe now, with loads of games and comics and books and miniseries and every kind of media there is. I mean, I personally would have appreciated a previously on Halo wrap-up, just to bring me up to speed with all the relevant plot points.
Yeah, it does feel like they're getting bogged down in their extended universe, which I would bet that the vast majority of people aren't keeping up with. It's great to have all that stuff in there for hardcore fans, but not if you lose everyone else along the way.
Chief, look.
I think the biggest issue for me, though, was that the villain here has some pretty murky motivations that don't align well with that character. So I kind of found this whole story a little hard to swallow, and I think a lot of fans aren't going to appreciate the direction they've gone with.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but if we say any more, we'll spoil the pants off this game. There's some pretty big stuff that goes down, but it definitely feels like the middle of a trilogy storyline.
I wonder, have the Covenant been coming through with them?
They're setting things up for future games, so it'll be interesting to see where they take it next.
Now, at the time of recording this episode, the multiplayer hadn't gone live yet, so we're only looking at the campaign for today. But we will check out the multiplayer next week and deliver our final verdict then.
And to be honest, we're still feeling a little burned after the online issues with the Master Chief Collection. And multiplayer for Halo is such a big part of the game. We're happy to wait until it launches and make sure it all works well.
Well, based on just this campaign, what would you score it for now?
I think we have been a little harsh on Halo this time around, Hex, but that's only because they've set the bar so high for these games. This is a pretty standard Halo campaign, but it's also a lot of fun, so I'm giving it 4 out of 5 stars for now.
Yeah, 4 seems like a good placeholder to me.
I used to be real good at quantum theories once, but then I got way into throwing grenades. I think it was a pretty smart decision, since so much of doing war is knowing when to throw grenades at something.
Oh hi, did you name the game for this week? It was Mad World on the Wii from 2009. You played as Jack, a contestant in a Running Man-style futuristic game show called Deathwatch. Highly stylized in black and white with splashes of red blood, it was mildly controversial at the time, having such violent gameplay on the family-friendly Wii. And it's unnamed the game this week because it was made by Platinum Games, the same developers who brought us this week's Transformers Devastation.
Next week on the show, Bajo, it's our annual Assassin's Creed game, except this time we'll be playing as not one character, but 2. We'll be lurking through London's alleyways in Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
I've caught the assassin! Open the door!
As if the likes of you could stand up to Miss Thorne.
Watch her closely.
And don't forget, over on Spawn Point on ABC 3 this weekend, our show for younger gamers, it's a Halloween special.
It's alive! It's alive!
And don't forget, Nick Boy will be live streaming this Wednesday from 3 p.m, so jump into the Good Game Pocket stream to join in the adventures. Until next time, may all your games be good ones. Hex out.
Bajo out. Hex, I have a prediction about Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Ah, yes?
I think there'll be a quest where you need to tail someone for ages, and then either kill or steal a pouch of money.
You don't steal pouches of money anymore. No, it's a little bit, there's more to it than that.
I betcha.
You're right, you'll have to tail some people.
I bet you a pouch of money.
How much money?
Is
it real money?
It's chocolate wrapped in foil.
Oh, that's good.